Hello and welcome to today's episode on investing. Today I'm going to be covering topics such as dividends and mainly just dividends in this episode actually. I'll devote some other episodes for other topics. I noticed that there are a lot of YouTube videos out there that are talking about, what to do if you have $1,000 to invest, $5,000, $10,000 to invest, what to do, how to invest in real estate, how to invest in stocks, stuff like that. I figured I would make these videos to be more of a standard busybodies guide to investing. So all of my investment talks are going to be based mainly for people who have an income of about $2,000 or less each month. So assuming that approximately, let's say you have a roommate, maybe $500 of that $2,000 each month is going towards rent. You have another, say, let's give it a high estimate and say you're spending $200 a month on groceries. Another $100 on utilities, so that's going to be $800 a month out of that $2,000 that you have gone. So now you have $1,200 left over. Let's say you spend $100 on gas, that brings your total down to $1,100. Then you got your phone bill, it's another $100 maybe, so that'll bring it down to $1,000. And that's about the mark. I know there are a couple other things that people like to spend money on, such as subscriptions and stuff. So let's actually just go ahead and let's say random paraphernalia that you're buying is going to be approximately $500 per month. All your subscriptions, eating out, movies, hanging out with friends, random stuff that you need to buy, stuff like that, insurance, all that's going to be about $500 per month. So that's going to bring your net income down after all your spending each month down to about $500. Now, a lot of people that I notice particularly don't really take that $500 and put it away and go put it in savings in something, which I think is a big mistake, because then you can have, after 2 months, you can have $1,000 saved up. After a year, you can have $6,000 saved up, just sitting there in the bank waiting for you in case you ever need it, in case of an emergency, your car breaks down, you need a new one. You go to the hospital and your health insurance doesn't cover all of it, something like that. So let's say you take 250 of that. Well, actually, just forget that. You take the full 500 and as a savings account, instead of dumping it into a specific savings account like a home bank or a credit union, or instead of investing somewhere online such as Ally, which I'll talk over in another video, you can instead invest it in stocks in order to get a higher return. There is also a risk associated with this, though. If you invest in stocks, then you have the risk of the stock going down, the stock closing out. There are a couple different companies where if you're not very well versed in stocks, and it's difficult to decide which one you want to invest in. So that's what a lot of other investment channels talk about. They go over like, you gotta pay attention to the stock market, or you gotta know how it works and stuff like that. And I'm not really all about that. I particularly don't pay too much attention to the stock market. I look at it every now and then. However, the vast majority of what I know is just from observing, not really interacting. So all of my advice is mainly going to be predicated towards someone who has not interacted and has not observed. So with that in mind, most people, when they first get into investments, are probably going to want to invest in stocks for companies that they already know about. And that's actually what I'm going to be talking about specifically in regard to dividends. So if you want to invest in a stock, invest in the stock market specifically, and just get a higher return than you would get sitting in like Ally Bank, which now has a 2.2% annual percentage yield for its savings account, which is remarkably high, 22% higher than my old credit union that I was going with. I switched over to them pretty fast once I found out. But you, specifically with, let's look at Ford. Ford is a pretty large company that almost everybody in America knows about. Um, they, right now, let's say you saved up your money, that $500, in a savings account such as Ally for about, let's say half a year. So $500 times 6, that's $3,000 that you have saved up in that Ally account. We're going to disregard the interest that you would get from having it in Ally just because that is negligible. It is an amount, but it's not enough to be worried about right now. You start looking into actually how much you start getting once you have upwards of $10,000 in an account, and that's more outside the scope of what I'm going to be covering, all of my topics and everything like that. So after 6 months, you have $3,000. You can then transfer that over to some kind of stock brokerage. I personally use a company that is very up and coming. It's very well known among a lot of investors. A lot of people are talking about it. It's called Robinhood. It's completely free to use. You just put in your information. You can actually, once you join up with them, if you use someone else's link, you and that person will each get one free stock. So that's actually a really cool bargain offer that they're doing. It can be any dollar amount really. It is just a random stock. That's actually how I got my first Ford share. So yeah, the link for if you want to sign up for Robinhood and you want to get a free stock and get me a free stock, the link for that is going to be down in the subscription. Just go ahead and click on that and sign up for Robinhood. It'll just automatically process that. If you have any questions about that, just leave them down below in the comments. So specifically with Robinhood, you're able to get it on your phone, on your laptop. It's very easy to use. It's very in-depth if you want to go in very far, but at the same time, if you just want to skim the surface, all the interface is right there. It's not very hard to learn how to use. I didn't actually have any instructions when I was learning how to use it. I just kind of browsed through the app and figured it out. It was pretty straightforward. So the first thing you're going to want to do is link that savings account that you have with, say, let's just go ahead and say Ally Bank. You want to link that savings account that you have with Ally to your Robinhood account. And then once you have that done, then you can transfer all $3,000 from your Ally account to your Robinhood account. And then once you have that done, you're able to immediately use all 3,000 of those dollars. Normally it takes a little while for Robinhood to take the funds from an external bank and then bring it to Robinhood. However, so long as they can verify that your bank and your account are real, they will give you instant access to that money while they're waiting for the rollover on getting that money. So you're able to use instantly any dollar amount that you want to transfer, even though it may take a while for it to transfer over. And they give you warnings and all that when you transfer over. So when you first get that $3,000 in your Robinhood account, what I'm going to suggest is taking about maybe a couple $100 and just tossing it into a couple different well-known accounts, well-known stocks, big companies that you're familiar with, AT&T, Chevrolet, just different accounts that you know aren't going to go down anytime soon, just to get a little diversity in your portfolio. And then once you have about $2,500 left, then you can go ahead and dump all of that onto the one I'm going to be talking about today is Ford, because Ford's dividend rate, they pay you $60 for approximately $60, assuming low market fluctuation, every year, but they pay that out quarterly. So for every share that you have of Ford, every 3 months, you're going to get 15 cents, which is a whole bunch of money. So let's go ahead and calculate that out. So let me just open my calculator here. So let's say you have, so one share of Ford currently, as of right now, It fluctuates a little bit, but right now it's worth $8.88. So let's go ahead and take 2,500 divided by 888. So you'd be able, with that 2,500, you'd be able to buy 281 and some change, but Robinhood does full shares. 281 shares of Ford. So if you have that 281 shares, and you multiply it by 60 cents, then from all that money, $2,500 sitting there, every year, just from dividends alone, you're going to get $168.06 just from it sitting there. So let's bring that into comparison. So you have $2,500 divided by 186.60. So that's going to be about 13.4%, just a little bit shy of 13.4%. Ally Bank's interest rate right now for their accounts is 2.2%. So let's go ahead, 13.4 divided by 2.2. So if you go ahead and take, let's say, $2,500 that you have in an Ally Bank getting an interest of 2.2%, and you go ahead and drop all that on Ford, just from dividends alone, every year, you will be getting over 6 times the amount that you would in Ally. That's enough to jump past the inflation percentage per year. That's enough to start getting you more money. And all that $168 per year that you would be getting, I believe it was, that $168.60 that you would be getting every year through Ford, they pay that out quarterly. So you would actually be getting, every 3 months they would be paying you $42.15, which you can then do with as you wish. That's just deposited straight into your Robinhood account. You can drop that once again onto Ford so that you start accruing more and more and more dividends from Ford so that you can increase that amount, or you can just leave it there. Most people, specifically for savings accounts, don't like the idea of investing that money, just because you're only able to withdraw that money when the markets are open. You're only able to have that money if there is like no significant market change. So let's say you invest in Ford and then Ford suddenly drops 50%. You just lost 50% of your money. Now, that's why I'm saying specifically to do this with a company that has a higher base, really. So like everyone's going around driving Ford trucks, specifically up here. And in other parts of the country, just Ford vehicles are being driven around. Ford's not really going under anytime soon. They've been around for a long time. My guess is they're going to be around a lot longer than I will. So I'm going to say it's a pretty safe bet to invest my money with them, specifically with the new cars they have coming out. That really is it. So over a 6-month period, if you're able to get $3,000, which most people, it's not really that hard to do if you actually sit down and put your mind to it. Every month you put away $500, which it's really not that hard to do. Especially if you're making around the ballpark of $2,000 a month. If you're making substantially less than that, maybe $1,500 a month, maybe $1,000 a month, I would recommend doing some other saving strategies, which I'll bring up in a different video. It really is just a very interesting way, specifically for me, someone who's low income. I personally make significantly less than $2,000 a month. I also I have other sources of income though. I have my wife. She makes also less than $2,000 a month, but combined we make around the ballpark of $2,000 each month. And we live in this apartment, but we split the rent between just everyone who lives here. We have a couple different people living here with us. It's a little cramped, but it does save us a couple $100 every single month. And that is a very significant investment. It's also nice to be able to share subscriptions, such as if you have like a Spotify subscription, if you have a paid YouTube subscription, if you have Netflix, if you have Hulu, any of those other subscriptions, you're just able to share that with everybody that you're living with, and additionally cut down on your month-to-month costs. So it really is a wise choice just to be able to split that with other people, just as a quick aside in order to get more money, at least in the short run, and until you're able to invest that first $2,500 into Ford. And that's just if you want to invest that $2,500. You can just buy one share of Ford and get that 60 cents. It's still that super, super high return rate of almost 13.4% right now. That could change in the future with market fluctuation. It shouldn't change too much. If you look at Ford's previous history with paying out dividends, for the most part, for the last couple of years, it's been consistently at 15 cents. So yeah, if you want, you can just invest lower amounts. You can just invest $9 and get that one share. And then from that one share, you can get your 60 cents each month. It's still a better choice than putting a whole bunch of savings into a different account, like a bank account. It does have some drawbacks in that you're not able to pull the money out instantly whenever you want, just like that. But normally with savings account, in the case of an emergency fund or something like that, you don't want to have instantaneous access to it whenever you want. You want to be able to just let it sit there, do its own thing, just not worry about it, and then when you absolutely need it, then you can go and pull it out. Normally that turnaround time is less than 12 hours. The market's open for pretty much the better part of the normal standard working day. So yeah, that's it. Thank you very much for watching. See you next time.